In 2006, our group made its first and only excursion into the relatively little-known Snowshoe Conservation Reserve. This protected area includes the area from Snowshoe Lake along the Ontario-Manitoba border and northeast along a chain of lakes including Chase, Midway, and Eagle, where it meets the Woodland Caribou Provincial Park boundary. The Conservation Reserve is part of the Woodland Caribou Signature Site. This area has burned more than once since 2006 and looks much different today than it did back then. We left from the Davidson Lake boat launch on Monday, July 10th and proceeded east through Petch Lake to Reynar Lake. After lunching in Bain Lake, we continued through Bell and Badgley into Wilson Lake to set up a camp on a nice island site there. The overall route and Eagle Snowshoe landscape was challenging and fun. The portages were not very well maintained, and in places there was a lot of blowdown. Since this area isn't part of a provincial park, it is not maintained with tax dollars, and this is rather obvious. It was a very remote trip with no room for emergencies. The fishing was good, but the bugs were some of the nastiest I've ever seen. We paddled from Davidson before carrying the boats over the two portages into and out of tiny Petch Lake to Reynar. From Reynar Lake, we completed 3 fairly manky portages into Bain Lake where we had lunch.
Not there.
It was a scorching hot day as we made our way through Bell and Badgley Lakes towards Wilson Lake, completing 3 or 4 short but deadfall-covered portages along the way. We managed to find a reasonable site in Wilson to fit our 4 tents.
Wilson Lake, about 3:40 Monday afternoon. Beautiful afternoon.
From Wilson Lake, we traveled north on a series of rustic portages and small lakes towards Snowshoe Lake. From Snowshoe, we navigated into the Bird River, making our way towards Chase Lake, completing a series of short portages along the way. We found an open camp on Chase Lake on a nice shallow rocky shore. After a very long day on Monday, we paddled out of Wilson Lake on Tuesday morning and set about completing the route to Snowshoe Lake. It was another scorcher of a day, over 35 degrees Celsius, as we worked our way up the Bird River towards Chase Lake. We found a nice campsite on Chase with a shallow landing area. After searching unsuccessfully for the portage route out of Chase towards Eden Lake, we paddled through Midway into Eagle Lake where a fresh wildfire turned us around, back to our Tuesday campsite on Chase Lake.
This is the first canoe trip that I'm waking up because of the heat.
Wednesday, after paddling through Midway Lake and having lunch on Eagle, we turned back and noticed a rapidly growing wildfire just behind us. We spent the next few hours watching the fire grow before bailing back to our Tuesday night camp on Chase Lake.
Behind you, Eric. seriously, we just had lunch on that point over. And as we're paddling back, we looked backwards and there's a forest fire starting up behind us.
It's about 3 times bigger.
That was half an hour ago.
Yeah, I think 10K, Bill.
And well, this is a good one. Creamy bacon carbonara. Yeah, with cream sauce and bacon. And we got some tomato basil fusilli, whole wheat fusilli.
A couple of British, is this a family show?
Yeah.
A couple of British guys.
That evening we hammered walleye as the forest fire grew huge in the distance. Thursday we headed back down the Bird River towards Snowshoe Lake. After getting absolutely hammered by intense thunderstorms, we set up a bush camp along a rocky shoreline somewhere in Snowshoe. Thursday dawned hot and muggy. After paddling down the Bird River towards Snowshoe Lake, we noticed dark clouds racing towards us and bailed to a small island to take cover. We spent the next hour getting hammered by the most intense storms I've ever experienced.
Yeah, the red one. Look at those waves, man. That is insane. If we were out there, they would just blow the boat right over. We'd have to run with it. Our canoe is moving around a bit, Harry. So.
After the first storm, we paddled a short ways before being hit again and again. Finally, we managed to set up a bush camp somewhere on Snowshoe Lake as the skies started clearing. On Friday, we made our way back along the portages and small bodies of water towards Wilson Lake. We set up camp on a point of land across from the big island. Friday dawned as a completely different day, cool and fresh with lazy, puffy white clouds and a stiff north wind. We drifted out of Snowshoe Lake and portaged our way back towards Wilson.
Wild night. Drifting with the wind on Snowshoe. Trying to catch some pickler.
We set up camp across from the big island on Wilson. A black bear and cub tried to cross to our site, but we managed to scare them off with bear bangers. Our final day of the trip, we made our way back from Wilson Lake through Bain and Petch lakes to the Davidson Lake boat launch to end our trip. Saturday was another hot day spent navigating to Bain Lake from Wilson and then on through Reynar to Davidson and the boat launch to conclude a very tough, active, and delightful trip.